Hello and welcome to today's intermediate Pilates mat session with me, Sue from Fit Panda. So we're just going to be using our mat for today's session. If you'd like to have some support for your back or your head close to your mat for when we're lying down, such as a small towel, you're welcome to go ahead and have that ready for action. And then we're going to start by standing. So standing, feet hip width apart, inner seams of the feet running parallel to one another, and your arms just lengthened by your side. We're going to lengthen tall through the spine, open up through the chest, and as you inhale, start to bring the head forward, stretching through the neck, softly bend the knees, and roll slowly down through the spine, one vertebra at a time, rolling forward over the legs towards your mat. Once you've gone as low as you can go, take another breath. Exhale, draw navel to spine. Start to slowly roll back up again, restacking the spine until the head lifts and you're standing tall. And let's go one more time. Head curls forward, breathe in. And exhale as you roll forward and down towards the mat, stretching out your back as far as you feel comfortable to go, and then just staying where you are for a little alternating hamstring stretch. You can let your right knee bend a little bit more, and then try to straighten into the back of your left leg as much as you can so that you feel that stretch into the back of your left leg. And then we'll switch. Let the left one bend, try to straighten into the right leg as much as you can. And let's go for two more each leg, switching for a stretch and a stretch. And after that last one, let both of the knees softly bend. Try to bring the weight forward into the toes as you take another breath. And we'll exhale to roll back up again, one vertebra at a time, restacking the spine. Once you're standing again, you can straighten out the legs completely and take your right arm into like a little 90-degree goalpost position out to the side of your body with the palm facing forward, so that as we lean over into a side stretch, that right arm is going to reach over your ear, stretching out the side of the body and then coming back to your starting position. Let's do three more. We're going to inhale as we kind of bounce into that stretch and then exhale to come back. And two more. Reach and return. And one more time. Reach and return, and then we'll switch the arms. Left arm out to the side, so that left arm comes up next to the ear as you reach over to the right-hand side of the room, and then exhale back to starting position. Inhale, reach, and back in. So it's quite dynamic, a little dynamic stretch, and center. One more time, stretch, center, relax your arms by your side, and let's just roll the shoulders forward, up and back. Nice big circles for 5, 4, 3, 2, and the last circle around. Then we'll stay standing and open the feet out into a squat position. So you're going to take your feet out a little bit wider than your hips and then turn the toes to be slightly wider than your heels. Think about your neutral shape to your spine here. Arms are going to go out to the sides in a T position with the palms facing forward. So it's just a stripe from one set of fingers to the other. Keep drawing in through your tummy muscles, and then imagine that there was like a glass window directly in front of your body, or a glass door directly in front of your body that your nose is touching onto. So there's no room for you to lean forward. You can only really go up for the heel raises. So try to keep the weight kind of over the heels, even though you're starting to lift your heels off the mat. So sliding up your invisible glass wall, and then slowly coming down, tapping the heels against the mat, and then lifting again. Lift. So all of the controls in the ankles, the back of the legs are working as we lift and return. And we're going to go for 7 more. Remember to breathe, trying to avoid leaning forward too much. And another 5. And just a tap on the mat. 4. And just a tap on the mat. And 3. And our last 2, and your last 1. Then we'll land the heels back down, bring the arms out in front of you, and then we're going to start to hinge the pelvis backwards. You're going to start to push the sitting bones towards the wall behind you, bend the knees, and then drop down into your squat, making sure that your knees are staying over your feet, and then push through the heels and press yourself back up. So inhale as we drop down. Exhale, you're pushing the hips forward to lift out of your squat. And we go for 6 more. Down and lift. and 5. Listen to your knees. If there's any kind of knee pain, don't go too low. Last 4. Last 3. And your last 2. On the last one, we're going to stay down, so be prepared for it. We're going to drop into the squat. We're going to hold it. Keep looking forward, and then little pulses pressing up with those legs. We pulse up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you can press yourself all the way back up to our starting position. Sweep the right arm up and around to hold onto your left temple, and then just gently stretch out your neck. So I'm drawing my right ear down towards the right shoulder to stretch the side of the neck. And then we'll start to rotate the chin to look in towards your own armpit or towards your collarbone. The hand will go more to the back of your head so that you get now the stretch more into the back of the neck. Hold it there for a breath. Then you can release the arm, lift the head, and switch to take it over to the other side, stretching the other side of the neck. And then rotating, turning your chin towards your collarbone, looking down into your own armpit, gently stretching the back of your neck, relaxing the other shoulder though, so the arm that isn't doing anything is just relaxed by your side. And then you can release the arm. If you're not already facing towards your mat, just turn to face towards your mat. Take a step forward and gently lower yourself down onto your mat. We're going to come onto all fours, so hands and knees, hands under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. So setting up like you're going to go into a cat-cow stretch, finding your center, drawing in through your abdominals, and then hold your neutral spine, but start to push down into your mat a little bit more with the right knee and the left hand. So that's our cross pattern that's going to keep us in place. And then your left leg feels light enough to slide back behind you, so the leg will straighten, but the toenail is still touching the floor. Right arm will glide out in front of you, and then we'll float those two lengthened out appendages up off of the floor into your Superman shape. Rotate your right thumb to face up towards the ceiling, so the palms facing in. Make sure that your hips are still facing down to the floor. Take a breath. And as you round into your cat stretch, bend the knee and the elbow and bring them towards each other to tap in underneath your body. So you'll be looking at your knee as it comes in towards you. Then lengthen back out again, reaching the leg and the arm with you. Think of your leg and arm as like an extension of your spine. So everything is lengthened on the inhale, and then you kind of round into fetal position as you draw into your cat stretch. Tap knee to elbow and then reach back out. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, draw it in, round your spine. Inhale to reach. Keep pushing strongly through the left arm. The one that's still on the mat is working. And after your last one, we will glide the hand and the knee back in underneath the body and try to transition the weight without having to lean. So you're still very centered on the mat, but the weight goes into the left knee and the right hand this time, so that your right leg can glide back, your left arm can glide forward, and they lift off the mat into your Superman. Thumb facing up to the ceiling. That knee that's behind you is really extended, as straight as you can get the leg to be on the inhale breath. And then as you exhale to go into your cat stretch, draw the knee and the elbow in towards each other. And then lengthen back out. Just let your neck move with your spine. So as you round, your gaze will drop to look towards the knee, and then as you lengthen, your gaze will lift towards the top edge of your mat. 2 more times. Activate through your abdominals and reach, moving every part of your body. 1 more time. And we reach to finish. Then bring the knee and the hand back in underneath your body and lower down to lie on the tummy, or lie on your tummy. Legs about hip width apart behind you and arms in a nice wide goalpost position. So I've got my arms off the edges of the mat, elbows slightly lower than the shoulders with the palms facing down towards the floor. We're going to pull in and up through the tummy muscles, so navel is trying to lift off the mat and up towards your spine. Roll the shoulder blades back and down, and then keeping the hands firmly gripped into the floor, start to lengthen the spine for your head and chest to start to rise into extension. And imagine that you're actually trying to pull your chest forward with your arms, like you're trying to draw your collarbones forward towards the front edge of the mat to help activate into your upper back and shoulders. And then exhale to come back down. So really just lifting through the upper spine here. You will keep your elbows on the floor. So as upper back lifts, and then that feeling of pull, of grip through the arms, and then exhale back down. And let's go for 3 more. Inhale as you extend. Keep wrapping the shoulder blades back and down, and 2 more. Inhale to lift as though there was a big invisible ball behind you. You're rounding your upper spine up over. And 1 more time. Inhale to lift. And then exhale back down. Once we're looking at our mats again, just start to reach and lengthen through the legs now so that your legs can float just up off the floor. They don't have to lift very high. I just want them to float off the floor. Keep them straight, and then let your arms float slightly off the floor as well. So everything is just hovering off the floor, and you're going to keep it there for the breath of 3 and 2 and your last one. Then you can lower everything down to the floor, slide the hands under the shoulders, push yourself up and back into your rest position, reaching the sitting bones back towards your feet, stretching the arms out in front of you, holding it there for 2 breaths. Find a comfortable position for your head, your forehead, just resting somewhere comfortably. And then we will come up and bring the legs around and in front of us so that you're coming to sit on your mat. So legs are out in front, squeezing together. Arms are out in front, palms facing each other. Have a little bit of runway of mat behind you. We're just rolling down once, so don't worry about getting a towel or anything. It's just one time. We're going to take a breath, start to round the spine slightly forward over your thighs, and then we're going to start to roll back through the spine until you're in a chest lift. So lower and mid-back start to touch the mat, but your head and shoulders are still looking towards your feet, and then we're going to bend one knee, slide the foot onto the mat, bend the other knee, slide the foot onto the mat, and then finish the movement with your spine. Once your head is down, stretch your arms all the way back behind you for a little shoulder stretch. The feet and the knees should be hip width apart here. We'll bring the arms back up and then down onto the mat next to you, palms facing down, so that we can set up for your pelvic curl. So just find a comfortable leg position for your pelvic curl. You don't want your feet too far away from you. A neutral shape to the spine and lengthening through the back of the neck. We're going to breathe in there, expand the ribs. On the exhale breath, start to tilt the pelvis in towards the rib cage, lift the tailbone, and then peel slowly up through the spine, 1 vertebra at a time, to come up into your bridge, squeezing the glutes, imagining the feet are drawing in towards the body, and also pressing down slightly into the back of your arms. Take a breath at the top, and then exhale, we're going to melt back down. We're going to reverse the articulation of the spine, 1 vertebra at a time into your mat. Once your pelvis has landed, you can soften back to a neutral shape of your spine. Make sure the shoulders aren't creeping up into the ears. We're going to do it 1 more time. Breathing in. Exhale. As you tilt, I'm drawing the tummy muscles in, and then we lift. Of course, the legs are doing most of this movement to peel you up through the spine and find your bridge position. Make sure your neck is comfortable. We've got the weight in the shoulder blades and in the feet. All 10 toes pressing into your mat. Take a breath at the top, and then we're lengthening down, trying to create as much space between the vertebra of your spine as you can as we melt into the mat. Land the pelvis and come back to neutral. We're going to be adding on to the next one. We're going to go into bridge prep. If you need to adjust your feet when we're there, you're welcome to do that. We're going to breathe in. Exhale, tuck the pelvis, roll up slowly through the spine like we would normally do to come up into a bridge. Now the hips should feel like they are equal height. I'm pressing down through the arms, and then all of the weight goes into the left leg. Squeeze your left bum cheek, and your right leg feels so light that you can float it up into a tabletop position. So 90-degree bend in the hip, 90-degree bend in the knee, a little point through the ankle joint for some toe taps. We're going to hinge from the hip, tap the toe on the mat and lift. And we go for 4 and lift, and 3 and 2 and the last one. Keep your right leg lifted at tabletop. Take a breath and roll down with precision, keeping your right leg lifted in tabletop as you come down vertebra for vertebra through your spine. Then you can place your right foot back down onto the mat. Make sure that your feet and knees are in the setup they should be, because of course we have to do the other leg. So we take a breath. Exhale, tuck the pelvis, lift and peel slowly up through the spine. All the weight's going to pour now into your right leg. Squeeze that glute. Lift the left leg to tabletop, but without your left hip dropping. Try to keep the hip suspended in the air, and then we toe tap, tap. Exhale, lift, and 4 more. And lift. It's nice and dynamic. 3, and a 2, And the last one, we keep that leg lifted in tabletop. Take one more breath in and exhale to melt down through the spine, keeping your left leg lifted at tabletop all the way. Land the pelvis, still the left leg stays in tabletop. Try to find that you're back in a very centered, neutral position of your pelvis on the mat. So the weight of your pelvis is kind of anchored into your mat before your right leg also becomes light and floats up to join the left one. So we end up with both legs in tabletop, spine in neutral. Arms are going to float up towards the ceiling. Turn the palms of the hands to face each other. Broaden your shoulder blades into the mat. And we're going to go for leg changes. Hinging from the right hip, tap your right toe gently on the mat. As the right one lifts, we switch and the left one goes down to tap. So we go right and left. Exhale every time you touch the mat. Going right and a left. And 4 more each leg. And 3 more each leg. And 2 more each leg. And 1 more each leg. And then pause with both legs in tabletop. You can squeeze the legs together. Actually, don't squeeze the legs together. Keep them hip width apart. Turn the palms of your hands to face towards your knees. And then just in the shoulder joint, stretch your arms as far back behind you as they can go. So we're aiming for the back of the hand to touch the floor or as close to as possible. Then the arms lift back up over the chest on the inhale breath. Exhale to curl up into like a hundreds prep position. So follow the arms, lift into a chest lift. And then just stay here. Keep your chest lift height. Place your right foot down on the mat. Place your left foot down on the mat. They should still be hip width apart. Interlace your fingers and without losing the height of your chest lift, glide those hands in behind the back of your head to support your neck. Take a breath there and then start to lengthen the spine back down into your mat. All the way, head now supported with the hands though, so the hands are still behind the back of your head. Breathe in, preparing for our chest lift. And then exhale, we curl up. Head and shoulders are going to curl up over the rib cage, looking just over the top of your knees. Try to flatten your abdominal muscles as you breathe in. And then exhale to slowly lengthen back down. Kind of unraveling your spine back to its neutral shape. Breathe in. We've got one more just like that. So we're going to exhale, curl up and over the rib cage. Into that flexion. Pause for a breath. And then exhale, lengthen slowly back down into your mat. And we're going to come up one more time, breathing in. Exhale, we're going to curl up into chest lift, eyes looking towards the knees, and then we're going to stay here as you reach the right arm forward, left arm forward, and then floating one leg at a time. Oh no, not floating one leg. So in a hundreds prep, slowly go back down first. So head resting on the mat, stretch the arms back behind you. Then lift the arms back up towards the ceiling, turn the palms of the hands to face each other. Now we're going to stay down. So your head is down, your spine's in neutral. Stabilize there and float one leg at a time into tabletop without shifting the position of the spine. Once we've got both legs lifted, now we'll squeeze them together. So you're going to fuse your legs together like you just have one giant leg instead of two separate legs. The arms will stay facing the ceiling as we go into spine twist, tilting the pelvis towards the right. Peeling the left hip up off of the mat, but not going so far that you feel like you're going to tip, because you need to bring it back through the center. And then over to the left. So that's where keeping the shoulder blades really broad against the mat is going to help you. It's going to be your kind of anchor to the floor as we twist the spine one way and center and twist the other way. The legs are just traveling with the pelvis from side to side. One more time each way. Breathing in as you twist. Use the exhale breath to move through the center of your pelvis over to the other side. Make sure you're finishing on the left-hand side because we started on the right. And then bring it back through to the center. So legs back over the pelvis in the center. And we're going to bend the elbows and gently place the palms of the hands against the front of the thighs. So against the section of your thighs that you would be able to see if you look down. And then your hands are going to be your gauge to make sure that your thighs don't move. So don't let your hands move. Don't let your thighs move, and just straighten your knees as much as you physically can in this position with the thighs. So if you've got tight hamstrings, you might still have a bend in the knees, and that's fine. You're just going to where you can get that kind of extension of the knee. Then the legs will stay, arms will go down into a low V position with the palms facing up so that we can spine twist now with the straightened out legs. So we're going to inhale, twist over to the right hand side, peeling the left hip up off the mat, and then exhale back to center. So the legs are now heavier now that they've been straightened out. So use the back of your arms to help you keep your balance. And center 2 more times each way, breathing in. Feel the twist through the kind of mid-spine, little bit of movement of the rib cage as well, like the bottom of the ribs will start to move, but your head and your arms are completely still. 1 more time each way. The legs are still squeezing together and as straight as you can get them to be. After your last one, you can bend the knees again and then just hug them in towards your chest in a little recovery position on your mat. And then we're going to slide the hands in behind the back of the thighs. So holding onto the back of your thighs, take a breath. Exhale to curl the head and the shoulders back up into chest lift, so looking at your own knees. And then bring your legs into a nice clean tabletop position, so 90-degree bend of the back of the knees. The lower back should feel fairly anchored against the mat here. Keep the height of your chest lift, so tell your abs to take over because the arms are going to release, interlace and glide behind the head again back into a chest lifty position. Then you're going to rotate your chest over to the left, so lift your right shoulder blade up over the left one to look just past your left thigh as you extend your right leg out onto a 45-degree angle. Slowly move through the center, rotate over to the right, reach the left leg out. Inhale through center, exhale, rotate. Inhale through center, exhale, rotate. We're going to go a little bit faster, but maintain the control. So we're going to go one side, then the other, and then one side and the other. Make sure you're really extending the leg that's meant to be straightening out. Let's go for 2 more each side, and then 1 more each side. After your last one, bring both legs to tabletop, reach the arms around to grab the back of your thighs, and give yourself a little rock and roll to come up to sit. So a little bit of momentum to roll yourself up to a seated position. We're going to be staying in a seated position. If you struggle to sit upright on the mat with the legs out in front of your body, you're welcome to sit on something here, like a towel or a cushion, or if you even have a yoga block, that would be great. So if you need to sit on something, prop yourself up, otherwise you can stay on the mat. We are going to have a soft bend in the knees, so my legs are squeezing together, slightly bent with the toes pointing straight up towards the ceiling as though your feet were pressed up against an invisible wall. Lengthen the spine as much as you can, so hold onto the back of the thighs and let your arms actually help you to grow as tall as you can. So there's a little pull of the arms to bring you right on top of your sitting bones. Then we'll release the arms, interlace the fingers, and place your hands on the top of your head. So not behind the back of your head, on the top, like you're wearing a hat. So your hands have become your hat. Relax your shoulders. Your arms are now just attached to your body. They just move with you. We'll take a breath and exhale, start to twist through the spine over to the right. So rotating to look towards the right corner of your room. Inhale through center, keep growing tall, and then rotate over to the left. Check that your legs don't move while you're doing this. As soon as the knees start moving, then you know your hips are moving, and we're trying not to move the pelvis, but to actually move kind of the center section of your spine as you twist. And center. Exhale, twist through the spine. And center, like a little corkscrew, your spine is twisting. Center. Finish your last one. Come back to the center. Release the hands off the top of the head. Straighten the legs out completely. You don't need to sit on anything now because we're going to go into roll-ups. If you were sitting on something, move it out the way. If you'd like a towel behind your lower back for roll-ups, pop that into place. Everybody will need a little bit of space behind their bodies on the mat though, so make sure that you've got that runway available. We start by sitting tall, shoulders above the hips. Then I'm actually keeping my shoulders above the hips and just trying to round the spine backwards. So my shoulders stay over my hips, but the spine starts to round as though someone was pushing a big invisible ball into your tummy. Take a breath in that shape, and then exhale to start to slowly roll down through your spine. You'll be looking towards your toes pretty much the whole way until your shoulder blades start to touch the mat. Then the head goes down, arms go up to the ceiling and back to the floor behind you. Arms lift. Inhale back to your chest lift. Your pinky fingers will be just above your thighs, and then you're going to peel up from there. using control rather than momentum. Coming until again you have the shoulders sort of just above your hips. Breathe in and then roll back down. So we're not leaning over the legs, we're just keeping the shape of the spine consistent until you're on the mat. Then you unravel into a nice long neutral spine. Then arms lift, curl back up into that chest lift position, draw the abdominals deep to the spine and exhale to peel up until the shoulders are back over the hips. Let's do it one more time. Breathing in and exhale as we roll down. Draw the navel in, articulate your spine into the mat. Once the head is down, the arms go back to tap the floor. We're going to come up one last time. Arms lift. Curl the head and the shoulders up. Exhale, peel the spine up. Try to stay in the center of your mat as you come up. Then from here, everybody should kind of know where they're going for back support. We're just immediately going to sweep the arms back and ready into a back support position. Press down to straighten out the arms. You can have your fingertips pointing out to the sides of the room if you prefer that for the wrists. Otherwise, keep the fingertips facing towards your hips, towards your feet. Nice straight legs, point through the toes. Maintain the length of the spine and the push through the arms as you inhale. And then exhale to start to add a little bit of pressure into your heels, and your hips will just press up towards the ceiling. Hinge up. Inhale, hinge back down just to tap the mat. We're moving slowly. Press back up again for the count of 3, 2, 1, and then coming down 3, 2. We got 2 more. Pressing up strong through the arms. Let the eyes lift towards the ceiling as you press up, and then they face forward again as you drop back down. One more time. Exhale, press up into your back support. Inhale to gently lower down all the way. You can take the weight off your hands. Bring your arms out in front of you again. We're going to do one last little roll down. You don't want to have a towel behind your back though for this one. So if you did want to have a towel, just move it out the way because we're actually setting up to go into some teasers. All right, so breathe in as you dive forward over your legs. And then exhale, start to slowly roll back just into a chest lift position again. So lower and mid back just starting to touch the mat. And then find that moment where your legs start to feel a little bit lighter so that you can bend your knees, slide your feet towards you, and then pick the feet up off of the floor. Then we're going to find our hollow hold from here. So I'm going to reach the legs out away from me so that we're in the hollow hold. And then as you bend the knees, draw yourself back up again into your teaser position. So the knees will bend. I've lifted the spine off the mat. Now try and straighten your back. And if you want to, also lift the arms. You don't have to lift the arms though if you can't maintain the straight back with the arms lifting. Then as the arms come back down, you'll round your spine, look towards your own feet and roll back into your hollow hold. So I'm going to articulate down, the legs reach out. Use your hands on your thighs if you need to help you come back up. So we lift, we try to straighten the spine. And then as you round and you look forward, the legs start to reach out again. So you're lengthening everything out. Finding your hollow hold and then coming back up again from there, which is the hardest part, is lifting again to come into your teaser position. And rounding, we've got one more. Roll down into your hollow hold, reach the legs away. Use the knees bending back in towards you to help lift you all the way back up again into your teaser position. And then we'll hold onto the back of the thighs, lower the feet down to the floor, and open your feet out a little bit wider than your hips. So I've taken my feet out towards the edges of the mat. Hands just resting comfortably on the mat behind you as you rock both of your knees over to one side of the room, and then lift and rock them over to the other side of the room. So just a little bit of relief for your hips and your hip flexors as we just roll the knees from side to side. And roll. Let's do one more side to side roll. Stretching the hips. Bring it back to the center, and then we are going to come to lie down on our side. So you can pick a side. We're going to lie all the way down onto the bottom arm here, and then bend the bottom leg to 90. So I've got that bottom leg all the way out in front of my body with the shins sort of parallel to the edge of the mat. Top leg is out completely straight, so your top leg and your bottom leg won't be touching. Hips are stacked, abdominal muscles are drawing in. Try to keep the hips stacked as you float your top leg up just a little bit higher than hip height. Then that leg is going to stay there. Let the foot feel very relaxed. Let your foot feel heavy, like it's just hanging off the ankle joint. And bend your knee slightly so the whole leg just feels a little bit floppy, so that all the movement can happen in your hip. You can keep the hand on your hip to keep your hip still, or you can just rest it on the mat in front of your chest if that feels more comfortable. Because we're going to hinge from the hip, bring the leg, oh, we're not hinging forward. Sorry, I'm lying. Keep the leg where it is, and lower it down to tap the floor first and then lift it back up. So we're starting with just an up-down movement. So keep the foot floppy, lower it down, tap the floor, and then lift. And we tap. We're doing 6 more. And lift. So all the work is in the hip. And 5. And 4. And 3. And a 2. And the last one. And now we're going to hinge the leg forward, which is where I thought we were going before. Bring the leg out in front of you so that you can see your own foot. Lift it slightly and then bring it back down and back in line with your body. So we go forward first, then a little up-down movement, up-down, and then sweep it back in line with your body. Keep the knee slightly bent. You shouldn't feel this going into your quad. It's all in the glutes and back. And we've got 4 more. We go forward, up, down, and sweep it back. And 3 more, forward, up, down, and sweep it back. Try not to let your back move or your head and shoulders move. And back 1 more time. We go forward, up, down, and sweep it back. Then we're going to bring the leg forward, and we're actually going to, we've got 1 more, forward, up, down, sweep it back. Then bring the leg forward and keep it there. So I'm going to keep the leg out in front of me. The foot is still nice and floppy, like it's just kind of dripping down to the floor. And we're going to breathe in and out like a 100s breath pattern with the leg doing little pulses. So you're going to pulse the leg in time with the breath. Inhale to prepare and pulse. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and pause. Sweep the leg back in line with your body, and then we're going to keep that leg straight and straighten the bottom leg out to join. Squeeze the legs together so we end up in our side lift position. Think about reaching your top leg over your bottom leg to get the legs the same length. We're going to keep the hand just lightly resting on the mat in front of your chest, and then float the legs just up off the floor to start. Keep them squeezing together. Take a breath and exhale. We lift into your side lift. Lift the legs a little higher, and then back to the hover. Lifting through that upper waist. So I'm pulling the top hip towards the top rib, and then hovering again back to neutral. We're going for 6. And hover. Try to keep your neck relaxed. And 5. And a hover. And 4. And hover. Last 3. Lift through the upper waist. Relax the neck and shoulders. And 2. And the last 1. And then we are going to lift to hold. So lift your legs as high as you can get them to go using that upper waist. Make sure that your bottom leg is really lifting as well. So feel that inner thigh. Keep it lifted. We're going to do little flutter kicks. So one leg goes slightly forward, one leg goes slightly back. Also in time with your 100s breath. So inhale, prepare. And then we're going to exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3. Keep those legs nice and high. Inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. Inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then pause with the legs lifted. And then you can lower your legs all the way down to the floor. Then I'm going to bend the bottom knee. So you can push up slightly as you bend the bottom knee. Place your top foot in front of your bottom knee. And then using those arms, try to push yourself all the way up to sitting to try and sink your bum cheek down towards the floor. So that leg that was burning previously is now going to try to press towards the floor to get the stretch. If it doesn't make it all the way to the floor, it's okay. Just hold it for a couple of breaths, kind of sink into the stretch. Allow gravity to kind of release your glute a little bit after all that work. And then we're going to switch the legs around to the other side of the mat. So you're going to be lying on your other side. Lying down on your bottom arm, Bottom leg bent to 90 to begin with. We're doing that glute exercise. So your bottom shin parallel to the front of the mat. Hips stacked. You can hold the hip physically still, or if that's uncomfortable, place your hand on the mat in front of your chest. Lift your top leg a little higher than hip height. Let the knee bend slightly. Let the foot start to feel heavy and floppy. And then we just lower it to tap the mat and then lift back up again. So just a straight up, down movement and lift. And we go for 6 more. Lift and 5. Lift and 4. Lift and 3. And your last 2. Keep relaxing your neck and shoulder. And the last one, then the leg stays lifted. We hinge from that hip to bring the leg forward, then a little up-down movement and sweep it back. So it's going up and down by like maybe 5 centimeters. It's not a big movement. It's just a little bit up and down and then sweep it back. And we go forward, up, down and sweep it back. And your last 5, forward, up, down and back. And 4, moving inside that hip socket. Keep your foot feeling relaxed and heavy. Last 3. And your last 2. Exhale as the leg comes forward, up, down. Inhale back. One more time. Forward, up, down. Sweep the leg back in line with your body. Then we'll bring the leg forward to keep it forward this time. The knee is still slightly bent. Inhale to prepare, and then little pulses as you exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 3, 4, one more time. Inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then lifting the leg, sweep it back in line with your body. Try to slide your bottom leg out so that your bottom leg can also become straight, and then the legs will squeeze together. Drawing the ribs in, drawing the navel in for support. Float the legs just up off the floor. Imagine now that they are squeezing together like one single unit, and then lift through the upper waist using those obliques to lift the legs a little higher, and then back to the hover. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you hover. And we go for another 6, and hover, and exhale 5. Try not to push into the hand that's on the mat. We're just keeping it there for balance. Lift and hover. Last 3. Keep squeezing the legs together. Last 2. And the last one is the one where we hold. So the legs are going to lift as high as you can get them to go. They're going to stay there. Little flutter kicks. Inhale, prepare. And we kick. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. One more time. We inhale. Keep those legs nice and high. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can pause, squeezing the legs together. Lower the legs all the way down to the floor. Pressing yourself up to bend your bottom knee. Place the top foot in front of the bottom knee. And then try to encourage that bum cheek down towards the floor into the stretch. Hold it for a breath or 2, sinking towards the mat. If you don't actually touch the mat, it's okay, as long as you feel the stretch. And then we'll unravel to come and lie down on our tummies again. So coming to lie on your stomach, we're going to have the legs squeezing together behind you this time. So heels are going to be touching. Arms are going to come into a low V, lying actually. Your heels are not touching. Your legs are going to be hip width apart. So we're going to actually keep a little bit of space between the legs for this one. Arms in a low V with the elbows nice and straight and the palms facing down to the floor. So your thumbs will be facing out to the sides of the room. Try to roll the shoulder blades back and down as though you're lifting your shoulders slightly away from the mat. Support from your abdominals. And then think about lengthening through the spine. As your spine lengthens, the head, the chest, and the arms are all going to start to float up off the floor. Inhale. And then exhale to come back down. Let the hands lightly touch the floor. Inhale, as we lift, you become light like a balloon. And exhale to come back down. 2 more. Try to keep your neck very much part of your spine here. So I'm not craning the neck, but the head will just lift slightly higher than your shoulders. One more time, just because it is the top part of your spine. Inhale, lift. And exhale, let's come back down to look at our mats. Then your body stays exactly as it is. Just take your arms out into a T position. So now they're a straight line running from one hand to the other. Palms are still facing down. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. It's going to be a little bit heavier now for the shoulders. So you're going to think about the spine lengthening. You might not come up as high, which is fine. Just let the head and the chest become light and float the arms up off the mat. Exhale to come back down, tap the hands on the floor. 3 more. Inhale, lift, keep drawing your navel to your spine. And last 2. The legs are staying down though. I'm not lifting my feet off the floor. 1 more time. Inhale, lift, use the upper back, use the shoulders. Exhale all the way back down. Then again, your body stays exactly as it is, but we're going to take the arms forward into a high V position. So now they're slightly wider than the shoulders, but they're above the line of your head. Palms still facing down. Wrap the shoulder blades down around the rib cage so that you're not lifting your shoulders into your ears while we're here. And now the last one, this is the heaviest one with the arms out in front of the body. So again, you might not lift as high. That's absolutely fine. Focus more on the length than the height. Lengthen the spine, head, chest, and arms are going to float up off of the floor on the inhale breath. And exhale back down. And we go for 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Last 2. Inhale, we float up with the arms. And down. 1 more time. Inhale to lift. And exhale back down. We're going to combine all 3 of those positions into like a sweep, as though you're doing a snow angel, but you just happen to be face down into the snow rather than lying on your back. So still lift navel to spine, pelvis pressing towards the mat. Then let the arms become light. Float them up, sweep them all the way around so that they then start to reach backwards towards your toes. And when the arms are behind you, try to lift the chest a little higher because that's where it becomes a little bit lighter. Then sweep them back around, reverse the movement, lower the chest, let the hands lightly touch the floor in front of you. Arms become light. Inhale, sweep them all the way around, your little wings of your snow angel. Exhale, sweep them back again in front of the body. 2 more. Inhale, we lift. Try to get the chest to lift as the arms go back. Exhale to lower. 1 more time. Lift, nice proud chest, arms sweep back. Exhale to reverse back to your starting position. Then you can bend the elbows, slide the hands under the shoulders to push yourself up onto hands and knees. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Round your spine into your cat stretch position and gently rock your hips back. And then forward again over the hands. So we're in a cat stretch, just gently rocking back and forth, giving your back a little bit of recovery time. You can rock 2 more times back and forth in your cat position, and 1 more time. Then come back onto the hands and the knees and lengthen out into a neutral position to your spine now. Nice and broad through the upper back, strong in the arms, spreading the weight out through the palms of the hands. Tuck your toes in behind you and then press up into your downward facing dog, lifting the sitting bones towards the ceiling, wrapping the shoulder blades away from the ears so you're looking in towards your own toes here. And then you can let the knees softly bend as we start to walk the hands backwards towards the feet. So push through the arms. Bend the knees as much as you need to as you get closer and closer to your feet until you're able to stand on your feet. You no longer need your arms. Take a breath here and exhale, slowly start to roll up through the spine. Rounding up, enjoying the stretch through your spine as you roll up until the shoulders and the head have lifted. Walking forward on your mat towards the front edge of your mat. We're going to cross 1 foot behind the other in a little curtsy position, so toes tucked in. Feel free to use your hands if you need to, but if you can go hands free, try to go hands free, just bending the knees to gracefully lower yourself down into a cross-legged position on the mat. But like I say, use the hands if you need to. There's nobody there watching you, so it's fine if you cheat. And then we're going to take the legs out in front of us and get ready for our boomerang. So if you haven't done boomerang or if you can't really remember it, I'm going to suggest that you watch the first one so that I can really talk you through it and then give it a try. So boomerang is like a rollover with a teaser thrown in just for fun. So I've got one ankle crossed over the other. I've got my right ankle crossed over my left ankle. Arms come out in front. Your first move is to inhale, dive forward over the legs as far as you can go. So I just dive over my legs, inhale. Then on the exhale breath, you slowly roll down to find your hollow hold. So lower and mid back start to touch the mat, then the legs will start to feel light. Turn the palms to face down so that your arms can push into the mat as you roll up and over with your legs. When you're looking at your legs, switch them. So I'm going to switch and place the left ankle over the right one. Now, as you roll down, it's different from a normal rollover in that your arms are going to lift off the mat. So as I roll down, my arms lift almost like rolling like a ball, and then catch yourself in a teaser position. So catch yourself here, back extended, legs extended. If you need to have a little bend in the knees here, however, you can have a bend in the knees, especially if the hamstrings are a bit tight. Then the legs go down, and then you dive forward over your legs again. So I'm going to say you want to switch your legs to have a different leg on top 3 times. So that's 6 in total, 6 rollovers in total. Inhale to dive over the legs, exhale to roll down, find your hollow hold, place the arms, roll up and over. Make sure you're looking straight up towards your legs when you're in the rollover so your neck doesn't get hurt. Switch the legs there. As you come down, take the arms off the mat, come up into your teaser position, which is the hardest bit of the whole exercise. Lower the legs, dive forward. So I'm going to give you a good 30 seconds to get all of these in. Make sure that you try to get 6 in. If you struggle with a full rollover, instead of taking the bum all the way up over, you could just roll onto your back, switch your legs, and then try to come back up into the teaser, which is already a lot of abs if you don't want to do the rollover. There is a little element of momentum as the legs lift and go over to help you go over. And I'm using the arms in that rollover. Finding the teaser. So I'm going to guess everybody has about 2 more to go, roughly, give or take. I will give you plenty of time to finish them, so don't feel that you need to rush. Whenever you do think that you are done, just come to sit in your butterfly stretch. So soles of the feet together, knees out to the side of the room. I'm going to give it another 10 seconds for everybody to wrap up their boomerangs. And just make your way into a nice comfortable hip opening stretch, inner thighs stretching, holding onto your feet or holding onto your ankles, whatever's comfortable for you. And we should all by now have met in our stretch. And then from there, we're going to sweep the legs back around behind us to come back onto all fours. So coming back into a 4-point kneeling, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We are going to be going into full plank, so make sure you have enough space behind you for your plank position. Find your neutral spine, spread the weight out through the palms of the hands. If you need a little bit of wrist support, if you'd like to put a towel or something soft underneath the palms of the hands to make it a little bit less intense on the wrists, you're welcome to do that. Then I'm going to keep my spine in this shape, just a slight tuck of the tailbone. Tuck the toes in, glide one of your legs back behind you, and make your leg feel super strong, like an anchor, so that all the weight goes into that leg, your other leg becomes light, and you can just glide it back to join so that we end up in a full plank position. Now you can either just stay in a plank position if this feels like it's enough, or you can join me for some little leg pull movements. So I'm going to keep nice and strong in the upper body through the arms, drawing in through the abdominals. The weight will go into the right leg, however, so that your left toes can untuck. So you'll end up with the top of your toenails touching onto the mat. That leg stays completely straight from the hip, from the bum cheek. You're going to lift it. We lift and then tap it back down again. You can do 4 more, lift and tap. 3 more, lift, tap, last 2 and 1. Retuck those left toes so that your right toes can untuck. Right leg goes for some little lifts and tap. The leg isn't going to go very high because we're not moving the body. 3 more and 2 and 1. Retuck those toes. Come back into your plank position. Feel free to lower your knees to the mat if you need to. But if you want to join me, I'm going to lower myself down to the mat in 1 slow push-up. Hold your plank. Abdominals are in. Let your elbows bend backwards towards your hip bone. So I'm trying to graze my elbows against my rib cage as I lower the chest slowly down as 1 single unit all the way until we've landed on the mat. If you needed to bend the knees though, that's absolutely fine. Then we're staying here. We're going to untuck our toes, slide the arms out in front of you with your arms just slightly wider than shoulder width apart so that we're all set up in a swimming prep position. Palms of the hands facing down. Wrap the shoulder blades around the rib cage. Lift from your abdominals. Before you start to reach through your legs, make your legs nice and straight. Float them just up off the floor and then float the arms just up off the floor. Don't lift your arms too high. It's just a small lift because you need that space to be able to go a little bit higher for the swimming. So just a little lift, but then the right leg and the left arm lift a little bit higher, and then we switch left leg, right arm lift a little higher. So you're going to go one and the other, one and the other. So we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And keep breathing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and one more set. We go for 5 and 4 and 3, 2 and 1, and then press pause with everything floating just up off the mat, and then lower it all the way back down. Once everything is down, bend the elbows, sweep the hands back in onto the mat underneath your shoulders with your elbows pointing up towards the ceiling so you've got little grasshopper arms. Tuck the toes in. Let's all do one with the knees to start with so that we feel what it feels like. So once my toes are tucked, I'm going to let the knees stay against the mat. Think about almost trying to lift your hips slightly before you lift your chest, because we tend to always want to leave the hips on the mat, which is when we start hurting our lower back. So suction up from your lower abdominals, start to lift your pelvis slightly off the floor, and then push through the arms to press yourself up in a slow push-up. Once you're all the way up, straight arms, lift your knees so that you can come back into your plank position. Adjust your feet if you need to, if you're not quite in the right spot. Because we're going back into leg pull. The weight goes into the right foot. Left toes are going to untuck. Actually, I'm lying. Come back to both toes tucked. I forgot we want to do one push-up without the knees so that everyone gets a feel for it. Use the knees if you need to, so where the knees will bend down to the mat, then lower yourself slowly down. If you don't need the knees, just lower yourself in one move down. Then we're all going to try to press up without the knees if you feel that you're able to. So from here, it's the same thing in that I lift from the abdominals. I try to let my hips lift off the mat slightly first and then push through the arms to press the chest up in one single movement so that we end up in a full plank position. Whether you bend the knees or not, I don't mind. Untuck the left toes. We're going to lift that left leg from the hip for 5 little lifts. 5, 4, 3, 2, and retuck the toes, other leg, and we go up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and retuck the toes. You can go with the knees or without the knees, but it's our last slow push up down towards your mat. Once you've landed your chest on the mat again, untuck your toes, and this time open your legs a little bit wider. We're going to take the legs kind of mat width apart, turning the knees to face outward slightly. The hands, however, are staying in the same position with our little grasshopper elbows sticking up towards the ceiling for some nice slow swans. Draw the shoulder blades down. Start to lift the inhale, lift the head and the chest using those back muscles. And then when you need the arms to start to help you, push down through the hands, press through the arms to come up as high as your back allows, maybe straightening the arms if you can. Start to bend the elbows as you lower down. Use your back muscles for that last little phase. And we inhale, press up into swan using the arms. Exhale down. Lengthening yourself back into the mat. 3 more. Extend up and over your imaginary ball that's behind you. And then peel yourself away from the ball. The legs are just staying down. They're not moving. 2 more. Inhale, extend up. Exhale to come back down. And 1 more time. Inhale, extend. Exhale to come back down. And then push up. Bring the feet to touch. Keep the knees open as you go back into your rest position. Arms stretching out in front of you. Sitting bones reaching for the heels. Hold and breathe. Really expand the ribs. And then we will come forward onto hands and knees again. This time, you're going to open your knees and your feet kind of all the way out to the edges of the mat, so much wider than we would normally have them, so that when your hands slide backwards, we can put them on the mat in between the knees, so you've got enough space between your knees. To push through the arms, roll yourself over onto your feet. Try to get your heels to touch the floor. If they're very high up, take your feet a little bit wider. So the wider you take the feet, the easier it's going to be to try and sink your heels towards the floor. If they're a little bit lifted, it's okay. Gravity will help you out. Arms on the inside of your legs to help stop you from falling forward. And then just sink your pelvis down towards the mat. Hold it there for a breath. Then we're going to keep the hands lightly touching the floor. We're going to lift the hips towards the ceiling though, and then let the head just drop to look towards your own legs as we do our little dance to bring the feet back to hip width apart. So I'll walk the toes towards each other, and then the heels towards each other, and the toes, and the heels until you feel like your legs are back where they're supposed to be. Your feet are back hip width and parallel. Keep your knees softly bent. Stay hanging here and hold on to your elbows. So your right hand will hold your left elbow, your left hand will hold your right elbow, so that it feels like you're actually physically pulling down on your arms and on your spine as we gently sway the upper body from side to side, like a piece of kelp just swaying in the ocean. And then come back through to the center. Release the arms so that they're just hanging again. Take a breath in. Keep the knees softly bent as you exhale to slowly restack your spine one vertebra at a time, lengthening up, floating the head up. And then we're all done with today's session. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed it.